health disparities is a very it's this is what I've been working on for over 40 years. I began, like I said, I don't want to date myself, but I've been in this work for my oldest is 40, so and I started before he was born. So I've been in this work for a long time across the nation. Been to parts of Africa, parts of Colombia, and so there's an issue around the health disparities of particularly poor women, regardless of color, but also women, particularly who are African American, have a higher disparity. And the word disparity, it means a large number of poor outcomes. But I like to use the word health inequities because equity means that there's not equality, that every mom can have her baby in the best way, that her baby cannot live just to be one, because we don't want babies to live to be one. We want babies to live to be full adults with universal citizen rights. And so just to say to live up to one is not enough. We want our children to live in general. And I have to bring in health disparities with infant mortality. I also have to bring in young African American children being shot and killed in the streets of America at 16, 17, and even 12, most recently in Georgia. It all fits the whole negative health inequity issue, because what's happening around, I want to just go back for a second. I have to go back to say first, the United States as a whole is not doing well, regardless of any race. We're looking at 6 deaths, is the national average should be 6 per 1,000 for the United States, but we know that Finland is 2.3 per 1,000. Even Cuba is at 3 per 1,000. A lot of countries are doing a lot better. Finland, Cuba, Switzerland, Denmark have much better birth outcomes than the United States of America. And we are the country with the most ability, we say, to care for our citizens. And the reason why mortality is so important, because you cannot judge the health of a country if you can't keep your most fragile citizen alive. There's no future if babies don't live. The future keeps the country going. So here's the United States not able to keep their babies living. So that is a tragedy within itself as a country. I was speaking with someone earlier today just about a lot of those customs coming from other parts of the world where I believe oppression of women is the first issue. Sexism, just women making less money, high rates of abuse. The medical model, though they've gotten better, still not recognizing midwifery as the #1 defense for a healthy outcome of all women. It's too hard to find midwives. It's too hard to find black midwives. It's too hard to get into midwifery school. It's hard to find midwifery in people's neighborhoods. And so those are some of the things that are causing it. The food justice are very real. But at the same time, we've learned from many documentaries and research that even if you're African American of my status, masters in public health, have a husband, have a mate who we bring in a good income. If I was pregnant compared to a young woman who's white with an 8th grade education, her outcomes are better than mine. So we have to ask, why is that? It's not about money, education. There's something happening in our country that's not allowing black women, particularly African American women, to give birth to a healthy full-term baby. And that is what we're calling now microaggression, oppression, systemic racism. So it's hard to capture, but it exists. And that's why I do the cultural competency with my sister, Shafia Monroe Consulting, because we don't understand how to work with other people, and how I just look at you when you walk into the prenatal room, and how I understand your lifestyle can contribute to how you care about yourself, but also the stress. We talk about the adrenal glands are putting out a lot of cortisol that keeps you in a flight or fight mechanism. For the average African American, it's constantly fight or flight. If you think that the police are coming for your son, your daughter, and driving by your house, and you've heard all this across the news, you're always in a state of alert, but you're carrying a baby. So all that stress and hormones going into the uterus, aggravating it so that she's birthing her baby at a much earlier rate, because the highest rate for mortality for African Americans is premature birth, not getting to the 38 weeks gestation, and because of stress. And there's so many studies around that. So things that we can do, I'm also about prevention. So things that we can do is to inform America that our country is not doing its best for any of our babies, again, regardless of race. But then we also have to look at the pockets. There's some places like Native Americans on the reservation, African Americans who already live here, second generation immigrants who are doing really well, the first generation now having also higher rates of infant mortality, to see with the cultural competency what we can do to try to stem that. Can we get more midwives in these areas? Can we outreach to these communities and get these women of the same community to become midwives so they can serve their population, because they understand the foods and the language and things like that? And we look at the policy where actually cultural competency means that by law, not ethically, you have to do certain things to create a competent place. 5 things: health literacy, be able to look at your own bias or own self-awareness, cross-cultural interaction, advocacy, and also how we're doing the direct services. So these are things we're supposed to put into place. Does my brochure reflect the woman who comes in, she feels like she is valued? So these are a lot of things that we can try to do around it. And also look at the violence that certain communities are experiencing, whether it's community violence or coming from other sources, the violence in itself. We looked at 9/11. We found with 9/11 that all the Arab women that year had a high rate of premature births because of the stress, not of 9/11, but because they became a hated group. And that the care they got changed. People were very angry. So with them, with Arab people or Middle Eastern people, it reflected in their birth. We know the same with the Holocaust. During the Holocaust, Jewish women also had a higher rate of infant mortality and of premature because of the hate of what's happening from the Germans on them. So the same with African Americans or any group where you have a lot of negative, where you're looked as being a villain and you're not getting love and getting support, then you can't grow a baby like that. And that's what's happening with some of the issues around the higher rate of infant mortality for African Americans in this country.